Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world that we're living in. So, sorry I'm on the avatar, just a mad day, mad morning as usual. So, by the time I got my face on and everything, I would be late again. So, just decided to go with the avatar. Um, just to save time, basically. But I hope you're all well. Um, Thank you for watching. If you don't know my channel, my name's Vicky Marie. I am based in Spain, in Europe, where, oh my God, yesterday we had the storm that we had. Not raining, just the windy 100-mile an hour winds or 100-kilometer an hour winds. Absolutely terrifying it was. Really, just luckily for me, when the winds were blowing that hard, I was in the house. And just as quickly as those winds got up, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the wind got up. And just as quickly as they got up, they disappeared around about 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. And by 7 o'clock, there was no wind at all. Very, very surreal weather that we're having. Today's very calm. Is it 17 degrees today? So it has warmed up a little bit, thank goodness, here in Spain. Anyway, so somewhere where it is very hot at the moment, of course, is down under in Australia. Well, we're going to Tasmania for today's case that we're going to talk about. And this poor girl, Celine, who is Belgian, actually a backpacker, an experienced backpacker from what everybody says about her, a cautious girl who didn't go off the beaten track when she was hiking or backpacking. She was in Tasmania and did set off on a hike on a very apparent, well, you'll see because we're going to see the hike that she went on. A very easy hike, especially for someone who's experienced, not one of those difficult off the beaten track type things, and disappeared. Celine just completely disappeared, never returned to where she was staying. And this happened 2.5 years ago. So I've been meaning to talk about this case for a while. I just haven't got around to it, but we don't know yet if it. The thing is, so what's happened is just over a few days ago, human remains were found, which are thought to be Celine. They haven't been confirmed forensically yet, but the police have been confident enough to say, to make public that they think these are Celine's remains that they're found. Now, did Celine just have an accident? Did she get lost? Or is there something more sinister in this case of Celine disappearing and then being found deceased 2.5 years later? There is some evidence of foul play. And also, I just wanted to mention, there's the Daily Mail a couple of months ago were making, saying that is there a serial killer in Tasmania, because apparently quite a few women and girls have gone missing and been found deceased or never been found. So is it possible that there is a killer in Tasmania? Just something to think about. The thing is, for Celine's family, this is heartbreaking news, of course, that she's been found deceased. But I also would imagine that after 2.5 years of not knowing what happened to their sort of beautiful loved one, it must give some sort of, resolution. I don't like that word, closure. You never get closure when you lose someone you love. But to, finally find out maybe what's happened to her, because I can imagine that for 2.5 years, they've been thinking, not only thinking, is she alive or isn't she alive? but also, is she being tortured somewhere? Is she being held somewhere? You know, you want to bring your loved one home one way or another, give them a decent burial if they're deceased. But also, it just must be a roller coaster because, you know, you one day you're probably thinking, oh, she must be dead because she wouldn't have been all this time not in touch with us. And then another day, maybe you think, oh, well, you know, maybe she did run off, or maybe she just wanted a new life, or even maybe somebody did kidnap her, but she's alive somewhere, because it does happen. So, not knowing what's happened to your loved one, I always think has got to be the hardest thing, but then maybe some hope is better than no hope at all. So, fortunately for me, I've never been in that position. I hope I'm never in that position. um, you know, it's just so very sad when you don't get an answer, you know. Anyway, so the other reason I wanted to talk about this case and the probable finding of Celine's remains, because as I say, it hasn't been confirmed by DNA testing just yet, but the police seem to be happy, not happy, but you know, seem to be satisfied that this is Celine that they found for whatever reason. um, you know, it brings hope to other, you know, like Samantha Murphy's remains that haven't been found, and other missing people where we don't know what's happened to them. Um, it brings hope that one day there will be some answers. You know, 2.5 years is a long time, isn't it? But anyway, she has been found, or, you know, 99% certain that she's been found. And it seems like it was just right by where she went missing. So it shows us how difficult it is to find bodies. You know, we always think, oh, why haven't they found the body by now? Why haven't? But it's so difficult, especially in difficult terrain, like in Tasmania, like in the outback, you know, but these bushwalks and things. Difficult, you know, you could literally walk past, because of course there's been lots of searches made for Celine. You could literally walk past the remains 20 times before somebody finally sees them, especially as time goes by and the remains get diminished. I mean, that's just the way it is. So they get even harder to find. You're not looking for a full person like a body. Anyway, we won't go, I'm not going into the gory details of it. So, first of all, let me just say thank you to everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to those of you, as you know, I'm trying to get a new computer. I'm, you know, slowly getting there. And thank you to those of you who have donated in whichever way you've donated. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Special thank you as always to my members. Tonight is Thursday, so it's members live later at some point. Not sure exactly what time yet. We'll be talking about some mysterious, you know, what I've decided that we're going to do in members lives from now on is talk about unexplained things. It could be anything. It could be UFOs. It could be hauntings. There's all sorts, so many unexplained things in this crazy world. But I'm hoping to sort of talk about things that maybe you've not heard of, that will make you think, get your opinions on, etc. That's what we'll be doing in the members live. So thank you so much to all of you who are members. And if you want to join us in that live later on today, you can find how to join on my YouTube channel. Also, I want to say thank you, of course, to my lovely lurkers. Thank you for watching, and thank you to Replay Crew who'll be watching this later on because they can't watch it while it's live. Thank you. I am blowing kisses. I know you can't see me because I'm on the avatar, but I am blowing kisses. Okay, let's take the banner off and let's say hello to who's brave enough to come into the chat. And then we're going to talk about what, now you may or may not have heard of this disappearance. As I say, I haven't got around to covering this yet on my channel. I've been meaning to cover it for a long time. And especially when I saw the article from the Daily Mail saying, is there a serial killer in Tasmania? because now Ivan Milat, I think his name was Ivan Milat, who was an Australian serial killer. He's thought to have been involved in some of the strange sort of disappearances and murders that have happened in Tasmania, but that's from quite a long time ago. But there have been not only Celine, but other more recent cases. I just think these places, remote places like Tasmania, Australia, America, etc., Canada is another one. They're just like natural stomping grounds for serial killers, aren't they? Because nowadays, with DNA testing, etc., it's hard for a serial killer to operate and not get caught. Even serial killers from, historic serial killers are getting caught now, like the Golden Gate serial killer, who was caught by DNA, wasn't he, not that long ago. But I do think, their chances of not getting caught, of course, go up. Their odds, if you like, of not getting caught raised when it's remote areas, where there's no CCTV, where there's no door cams, dash cams, etc. There's more chance of getting away with it, I suppose. There's more places to hide bodies. This is a body that was being looked for and was in the area where it was being looked for, and it's still taken 2.5 years to find it. So how are you going to find bodies that have been, put somewhere maybe miles away from where the person went missing? Just these remote areas, when you think about it, how many people do you think, and now I'm waffling a little bit now, but it's just sort of occurred to me, how many people do you think are prospective serial killers, but just don't do it because they know they'll get caught? Or do you think they can't stop? The impulse to kill overrides the fact. So, for example, if you lived in, built-up area like Manchester, London, etc., in the UK, for example, a small country that's got CCTV literally all over it, and then if it's not CCTV, it's dash cams or door cams. You'd find it very hard, wouldn't you, to do anything in the UK without being spotted one way or another doing it. Do you think that puts serial killers off doing it in the first place? Or do you think they'll do it anyway because they can't, it's a compulsion? A lot of people would say that being a serial killer is not a choice, it's a compulsion. They just can't help doing it. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen Dexter, but of course, supposedly his father taught him to only kill bad people. His father said to him, "Oh, you're going to have to kill because that's you're a psychopath, and that's in your nature." But he taught him to use his impulses, to kill sort of bad people. I mean, do you think that's possible? Or do you think that serial killers, their impulses are so strong, they just almost can't help it? I'm not sticking up for them. I don't think that they can be rehabilitated. Quite the contrary. I think a serial killer will always be a serial killer, whether they're in prison for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. I don't think they can ever be released into the community, in my opinion. But do you think that they can stop their impulses with common sense? Like if somebody lives in a sort of an area where there's CCTV everywhere, do you think they will be able to not do it because the odds are they're going to get caught? Or do you think they would do it anyway and they'd get caught? And just in this day and age, serial killers can't just go on like they used to. I mean, I think it was like the 70s and the 80s were like the golden age, if you like, for serial killers, because they would just kill with impunity. and there was no, there wasn't the same DNA and testing, and all these sort of tools that the police have now. They didn't have then, and so serial killers like the Green River Killer and Ted Bundy, etc., they just sort of moved from place to place, didn't they, and carried on killing, and they were difficult to find, difficult to catch, but it's easier to catch them now. Do you think that would stop a serial killer from doing it, or do you think a serial killer, because they're normally sort of reasonably clever, they quite often start unraveling at some point, don't they? They start off being clever and being DNA aware and all this, and then as time goes on, sometimes their compulsions can overtake them and they start making mistakes and doing, I think that's sort of what happened to Ted Bundy personally. He sort of unraveled and he started taking chances that he shouldn't have taken. Whereas if he would have been able to stop, there was a time when he wasn't even on the radar. Same with the Green River Killer. So, if they would have been able to stop then, would they never have got caught? Or is it just that they cannot? Same with Dennis Rader, the Bind, Torture, Kill. He just couldn't stop, could he? Sometimes they go into periods where they don't kill for a while, but then they always pop back up, don't they? So, yeah, it's just an interesting question. Do you think a serial killer can stop killing by choice? I don't think because they've got ill or because they've died or whatever. I mean, but literally thought to themselves, I'm not going to kill anymore. Or do you think the compunction to kill is just too much? So it's an interesting thought, isn't it? We need to study on that, don't we? Anyway, so sorry, having a little bit of a waffle about serial killers. But these sort of places like Tasmania where Celine went missing, and we don't know that she was murdered yet, it's not been confirmed. But there are some things that have come up that point at possible foul play. But of course, this is going to be an investigation, isn't it? Okay, let's come into the chat and say hello to you before I get into it properly. Hey, David, hope you're well. Hi, Lily, hope you're all well. Hi, Angel. Hi, Julie. Oh, Julie, those winds. Julie's also in Spain like me. I think you had snow, didn't you, up there in Madrid? We didn't have snow, but those winds were absolutely awful. Horrible, scary. Yeah. I think what was I going to say? I just saw what somebody said and I was going to comment on it, and now, backpacking is dangerous when people are alone, of course, but of course it's dangerous even when there's more than one person sometimes, isn't it? But also, I have these such mixed feelings because, backpacking is so popular, and even not only young people, granny packing is popular too. All ages go backpacking, and you must always think, that if you keep to, like, we'll see that this path where Celine went missing, it's not known as a dangerous area. It wasn't right out in the wilds. So because I always think, not only with backpackers but hikers and people who go up mountains and that, when they take chances, and go into these really sort of remote areas and do what I consider ridiculous things. But there are places which, you should, everywhere's dangerous, isn't it? I mean, even crossing the road's dangerous in a way, but you should be able to go on in national parks, for example, and on trails, especially trails, like, I'm thinking now of Rachel Marin in Maryland going on that Mar and Par trail and ended up getting murdered. You just like, it's almost like being in the wrong place at the wrong time, isn't it? Now, we don't know that this girl has been murdered, so I need to say that again. She could have had the thing is, you could always trip over. I mean, to me, that's what I'd be worried about, is if I had an accident, you make sure you've got your phone on you. Well, she did have her phone with her, but of course she could have fallen over, she could have broken her leg, she could have broken her leg, she could have, there's a lot of things that could have happened. And then, of course, she may have died of exposure or whatever because she couldn't get help. There's all those different things as well. So a lot of things, that were are possible. But yeah, you should be able to go backpacking. Why not? These are experiences that young people, especially, have these days. I mean, when I was young, God, you wouldn't have even thought of it going backpacking, or I don't think it was even discussed. It was like just, but now it's almost a common thing, isn't it, that a lot of young people do from all over the world. So Celine was from Belgium. Belgium. She's a Belgian tourist out there in Tasmania. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know much about Tasmania. I only remember the Tasmanian devil from the Roadrunner cartoons. Do you remember that, the Tasmanian devil? Um, yeah, was it the Roadrunner cartoons or was it the Bugs Bunny cartoons? I don't know, but yeah, I don't know anything really about Tasmania. So that's what we'll find out about Tasmania as we go along. So let's have a look at the article. We're going to look at an article which has also got some videos in it. I hope my internet and my computer works properly. Right, just let me take her photo off here because you won't be able to see it. This instead. Yeah, okay, you should be able to see the article okay. So the search for Celine Kremer, Belgian tourist who disappeared in the Tasmanian bush. It's a shame, isn't it? A young girl, anyway. For more than 2.5 years, the disappearance of Belgian tourist Celine Kremer has left searchers and her family desperate for answers. But after human remains were found in the Philosopher's Falls area today, this was, of course, the other day, members of an independent search group hope they have finally managed to solve the mystery. But how did Celine Kremer go missing? So there she is, pictured during her Australian adventure prior to going missing in Tasmania. So she disappeared in June 2023 during a bushwalk at Philosopher Falls near Waratah on Tasmania's west coast. And again, I want to just make it clear, this is an easy bushwalk she was doing. This isn't, right off in the beaten track. Some people like to do this extreme sort of backpacking, don't they? This wasn't that. The 31-year-old was last seen in Waratah on June the 17th and was reported missing by her family in Belgium 9 days later. Now, this is another thing I think that's important. Thing is, I think people have got to carry on doing their backpacking and this, that, and the other. That's, you can't stop living, can you? But you need to have some sort of agreement with your family that you're going to phone them at a certain time every day. Because if she wasn't reported missing till 9 days later, it's too late, isn't it? But of course her family wouldn't have worried about her because, but if she said that every day at 5, I'm going to ring you or message you, and if I don't message you at 5 that one day, I'm missing. You have to make these arrangements, don't you? So that people know if you're missing or not. And it might not have made any difference to her fate. Maybe she already would have been deceased. But there was a chance that she might still have been alive. I think people normally can last about 3-4 days, isn't it? Without water and the exposure of the maybe hypothermia. Because although, of course, it's warm there at the moment, it might be chilly at night. And then there's animals, So let's suppose she had tripped up and couldn't move and she'd lost her phone, or maybe she was unconscious. The thing is, the sooner you can send out search parties, the better, isn't it? So I think, a little, what I would say to anyone who's thinking of going and doing these kind of things, or has got family who are thinking of going and doing them, I wouldn't say don't do it. But I would say make sure you've got systems in place that if you do disappear, because probably the thing is, if she was staying in a motel or some sort of hotel or backpackers accommodation, they wouldn't notice if she came back, or she's going out and doing things, probably going out with friends or going to bars, and and at the end of the day, anyone she'd met there, if they didn't see her for a few days, would just assume she was in the hotel. The hotel would assume she was out with her friends, or nobody's keeping tabs on what people are doing. So there has to be, I think, definitely recommended in anywhere that you go in, is to tell people where you're going and say, listen, if I don't ring you at 5 every day or whatever, or I don't message you, there's something's happened, because there's so many different things that can happen. It doesn't have to be the bush. You could get abducted from your hotel. You could have a medical episode. You could have an accident, a car accident, and be in a hospital somewhere. So you have to make some sort of proviso, I think, so that you're saying to your parents or to your kids or to your whoever, listen, I'm going to ring you or I'm going to message you at 8 o'clock every evening to let you know that I'm okay. If I don't ring you or message you, within 2 hours of that time, please raise the alarm. That kind of thing. Do you think that's a logical thing to do, or a sensible thing? So 9 days before she was reported missing. Well, a lot can happen in 9 days, can't it? So police officers quickly found her car at the Philosopher Falls car park. So, of course, this reminds me of Rachel Marin a little bit. When she went missing on that trail, the police found her car at the trail. So they knew she'd gone to the trail. Now, she was found the very next day, fortunately. So there wasn't, at least, she was deceased, but at least there wasn't a long wait that her family had to. And of course, forensically, if anything has happened, including foul play, the sooner you can find somebody's body, the better, as far as forensic things are concerned. They said they believed it had been there since at least June the 20th, 2023. And that was the same day that Miss Kremer's mobile phone gave out its last signal. So, see, that's strange. So why would it give out its last signal on the day she disappeared? Because now they think the car had been there since June the 20th, that she was last seen on June the 17th. So why did her mobile phone give out its last signal on that day? So here we go. We've got a little map of Tasmania. We've got the Philosopher Falls area on Tasmania's west coast. And we're going to watch a little video of somebody walking the walk, to show that it's not, as I say, an extreme walking track. It's a common walking track that people walk, families walk. And according to the reporter who walks it, as long as you were reasonably fit and healthy, you wouldn't have any problem with it. So the search began soon after the concern for welfare notice was lodged by Miss Kremer's family. Police officers searched the track and its surrounding area on foot, using all-terrain vehicles, a helicopter and a drone. But don't forget, this is 10 days after she was last seen. Now, the thing is, if Celine had succumbed to the elements or if there had been foul play, in 10 days, there's a lot of time for animals to, I don't mean to be graphic, but it's just a fact. Animals can move remains. So, they're obviously looking right on the track there, but she could have been moved further along by animal activity, So it's a shame that it took so long before they were out looking for her, because they might have found her sooner. I know the result's still the same, but at least her family would have known what had happened to her, wouldn't they? So, yeah, just the sooner searches can start, the better, isn't it? That's just a fact of life, isn't it? So apparently the dense forest and difficult terrain were challenging for the search teams, and attached to ropes they rappelled down from the waterfall's viewing platform into the surrounding bushland. Well, someone can always fall off a platform, can't they? I mean, I'm just not this way inclined to go up and stand on high things and look out, and makes me go cold even to just see it on the telly or to see it on YouTube or whatever. I hate heights. I like walking, and I like walking in the woods and things like that, but I wouldn't want to go anywhere high up. No, it's just not me, but I know for a lot of people they like that, and they want to take photos and get good views and things like that. So a cadaver dog was even brought in from New South Wales to try and locate Miss Kremer's body. So this is 2.5 years ago. In early July, officers also conducted swift water searches in the Philosopher Falls area, which included search and rescue staff entering the rapids. Now, this is an aerial vision of the area where they were looking for her, and this video comes from the Tasmanian police. Let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, this is the aerial view, of course. So a lot of people will go there. Look, there's where you can stand and watch it. I mean, you can always fall from something like that, can't you? I mean, that just doesn't do it for me, I'm afraid. I understand why people, it's beautiful, but I'm quite happy watching it on a video. I wouldn't have to go actually there and watch it. I can look at it, oh, that's lovely, but I'm safe. I'm sat in my chair watching it. I don't want to go high up like that and be subject to the elements, and I'd be bound to fall off because I get vertigo, So it's beautiful, but it gives you an idea, of course. This is the area. And as I say, it's beautiful, but not for me to go up there and want to stand on some high thing. But the other thing we can see clearly is the challenge. How do you search for a body in this sort of area? I mean, obviously drones have made things easier. It reminds me a little bit of Jay Slater and where he went missing and was found in the ravine. It's hard. These are you need specially trained search and rescue people to go into these terrains to look for people. It's difficult, isn't it? And even when you find them, if a drone might come back and you can see where they are, then you've got to get to them. You've got to get down to wherever they are and recover them. So, yeah, as I say, very beautiful, but no thank you. I'm quite happy watching it on a video. I don't feel like I have to go there and stand on the side and watch it. I can see it's beautiful. That's enough for me, thank you. But I know it's not enough for everybody. So those swift water searches were described as a last-ditch effort to give Miss Kremer's family some answers before the search for her was scaled back. Yeah, so they always end up scaling back searches as well, don't they? I mean, you can't search every day forever. It's just impossible. And then other missing person cases come up, so you have to go and, take your resources, whatever they are. You can't just concentrate on one. So a lot of the searches that have been made for Celine in the more recent past have been by volunteer search organisations. Let's watch this one. Yeah, so let me know what you think. Do you like things like that? Would you like to go to that area and stand on that thing looking down? Let me know, of course. Don't forget, always let me know in comments what you think, if it's the sort of thing that you would like to do or not. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll just stop there and say that. I should say that every now and again, really. So when these efforts did not turn up any answer, Tasmania Police scaled back its search about 2 weeks after it began. And while every effort was made during this latest search, sadly Celine remains missing, Commander Stuart Wilkinson said at the time. The searchers faced extremely poor weather conditions and every effort was made to try and locate her. Well, you could see how difficult that would be. And police said they had received expert medical advice that Miss Kremer was unlikely to have survived her time in the wilderness because of freezing temperatures, rain, snow and wind. So, of course, because this happened I think it was June, he said, it wasn't the summer, of course, was it? So, yeah, it would have been freezing. And apparently she was only prepared for a short walk. She was, intending to do this supposedly easy hike. And so she wasn't sort of geared up or prepared for like a 2-week foray into the outback or whatever. So searchers believe that Celine Kremer became lost in the dense bush near Philosopher Falls. Now, this is the other thing. If you ever go on any of these trails, you have to stick to the trail. If you go off the trail and you get lost, that's when you can really get into trouble, isn't it? Because it all looks the same. How are you going to find your way back onto the trail again? Maybe she got distracted by something. Maybe she saw a wild animal, something that she thought, oh my God, and she followed it in there and then she couldn't find her way back to the trail. There is so many possibilities about what might have happened to this girl, ranging from foul play to accident to, getting distracted by an animal maybe, just deciding she was going to try and go a different way or a quicker way. This is when people get into trouble. That's how Jay Slater, trying to go a quicker way. You know what it's like when you're in your car. You think, oh, I'm sure I can go down there. I mean, it's different now because we've got our location services on our phones most of the time now. But how many times have you done that? I know I've done it loads of times. Oh, let's see which way this goes. Oh, I think I can cut over there. And you can't. And you end up travelling for an extra hour more than you should have done. Sometimes you're better off just staying to the route Having said that, if you've got lots of time and you're out driving, quite often you think, oh, let's drive this way and see what happens. And sometimes you can find ways that you didn't know. But really, when you're walking, it's different, isn't it? To go into those trees would not be a good idea, would it? You should stay on the trail. Always stay on the trail. So at the time, Commander Wilkinson said that police made the decision to call off the search and had spoken to Miss Kremer's family. We found no sign of Celine other than her vehicle, he said. but we accept that the Tasmanian wilderness is such that it's very, very difficult to search. If you get off a track and get into some of that wilderness, there's a lot of it. It's very thick, it's very difficult to search. And we just don't know what's caused her to go off that path. So, really, even if she would have tripped up, had an accident, or encountered a wild animal, she should have been right there on the track, shouldn't she? But of course, because they didn't start looking for her for probably 10 days after she went missing, animals could have interfered with that, and she might have been on the track to start with, but not stayed on the track. So there's always that possibility, isn't there? So crews descended into thick terrain next to Philosopher Falls during the search. Commander Wilkinson said it had been frustrating for everyone involved in the search. We would have loved to find her alive, and we could have brought some closure to her family. If we could have brought some closure to her family, that would have been ideal as well. Now, we know from the various cases we've covered, they always start off hopeful, don't they? Remember that with Jay Slater, with Samantha Murphy. You always start off hopeful, and then that hope, it doesn't take long, does it, before it dwindles, because just history tells us, events tell us that if somebody's not found within the first couple of days, the odds of them getting found alive, safe and well, are just diminishing all the time after that, aren't they? So, it must be very dispiriting for the searchers. Because, these searchers, I love them, these people that go out and do the genuine ones that go out and do their search and rescue, normally voluntarily, don't they? They volunteer. Because it's like, you are looking for a body, aren't you? At the end of the day, just to be brutal. So you'd spend the first few days hopes high, convinced you could find the person. You'd have sort of all these hopes that, you would hear them, you'd be shouting for them, and you'd hear a help, help, and they'd be there and they'd be worse for wear, but they'd be alive. That's how you would start off. As time goes on, at the end of the day, you are searching for a body. You're searching for remains, and it becomes a recovery rather than a rescue. And that must be quite demoralizing for the searchers too. And then when you do find them, there'll be a euphoria, isn't there? There must be a euphoria that you found them, combined with this horrible knowledge that you're going to be confirming their poor family's worst fears. But at least you're going to be bringing them home one way or another, isn't it? So, yeah, absolutely. These people are earth angels. So YouTube filmmaker Rob Parsons and other searchers. This is a photo of them looking for Celine Kremer in bushland in Tasmania's northwest on December the 17th in 2025. So this was just before Christmas. So Miss Kremer's family had been talking to a private investigator, Ken Gamble, about Miss Kremer's disappearance after the police search was called off. He analysed her phone location data and conducted numerous searches, including an area of unsearched bushland he had identified. So he led, Ken Gamble, he led a second search effort for Celine. So yeah, in the end, the police always stop searching because they've got other things, other people to look for. They need I think once it gets to a point where it becomes clear that the person is likely to be deceased, that's normally when the police stop searching, isn't it? And that's where your private search and rescue teams come in. So many of them are free services, like Beneath the Surface in the UK. They volunteer their time at the weekends, free of charge, to help people find. They do a lot of fact find missing dogs and missing people. And and it's and then there'll be some private investigators, etc., that do get paid for their services. At the end of the day, some people, that's their job, I'm not saying they shouldn't get paid. I'm just saying there's a lot of people that do it completely free, and I don't know if they charge for their. They must do, surely, because they have to go and stay somewhere, don't they? I know with Beneath the Surface, who I follow them closely, quite often they're going off up to Scotland, like from the Lancashire area. So they've got to stay in a travel lodge or something, haven't they? So I don't know who pays their expenses. I think they pay them themselves. Um, but yeah, I don't know about this guy. So in December 2025, an independent search group made their way to Philosopher's Falls to help him. And the group included 4 of Miss Kramer's friends from Belgium, YouTube filmmaker Rob Parsons, and volunteers eager to take part. Some had come from other countries after hearing about the revived search effort on Mr. Parsons' YouTube channel. So this just shows you how social media can help as well. Okay, he's a YouTuber, and okay, his channel is probably monetized. But he's out there raising awareness. I don't, it's not a bad thing, is it? It's a good thing, because the police can't do it anymore. So, someone's out there looking for Celine. I think it's brilliant. Social media is a positive force as well as a negative one. So I think we have to remember that. And this is Rachel Dispatchley, a friend of Celine, pictured during a renewed search for Celine in December 2025. So, speaking from the search area last December, Rachel remembered her as a woman with a strong and sunny personality. She said the group was desperate to find answers about what had happened to their friend. And the group, led by Mr. Gamble with police assistance, set out on a 5-day search on December the 13th. And the first breakthrough came on the same day. The searchers found something big. Miss Kremer's mobile phone, about 300 meters from the walking track. Now you could think, why would that not been found before? If it was only 300 meters from the walking track, that's odd, isn't it? Don't you think? Had it been put back there later, that's always a possibility, isn't it? Because I know the police aren't perfect, but you think they'd be able to find a mobile phone that was right there, surely. So, speaking in December, volunteer Tony Hage said he was at the rear of the search line when he spotted a mauve-coloured Samsung device. I just melted, he said. I couldn't talk, I just could not talk. A water bottle and a garbage bag with a hole in it were also found next to a tree. And the water bottle and garbage bag were found next to a fallen tree, which searchers say could have been used as a makeshift shelter. Was someone camping in those woods? Sheltering in those woods. Do you know it's been a long time since I went for a walk in the woods, but the last time when I was in Reading visiting a friend, which was quite a few years ago now, and we went I always go for a woodland walk. I miss the woods so much. And as we were walking, we saw like a makeshift shelter, and it really scared me actually, because you could see that someone had put logs and wood and that up against a tree to make a shelter. And I was thinking, where are they? Are they here watching us? We're walking through the woods. That's the first time I've ever felt scared in the woods. And it's probably a combination of doing all these true crime cases, along with the fact that I've never seen a shelter like that in the woods before. And I thought, God, there's so many people that are homeless these days. I don't know, Now, just because somebody's living in the woods doesn't mean they're a murderer either. But if you were walking through the woods on your own, particularly as a woman, but even as a man, really, and somebody just came out of the woods, like who was obviously living wild in the woods, you'd be bloody terrified, wouldn't you? And they might look at you and think, have you got money? Have you got things that I can use or I can sell? So that's another possibility, isn't it? Somebody was living there or just taking shelter there for a few days and then just happened upon Celine, who was walking on her own. Like with Rachel Marin in the Mar and Par Trail, whether he stalked her or not and laid in wait for her, we don't know for certain. But it was a trail where lots of people were walking around it. She wasn't the only person on that trail on that day, but he just took his moment, didn't he? As he saw her coming around the corner, he took his moment. He had a spade with him, I think. So there might be people there who are sort of hiding and sheltering, and then saw Celine on her own and thought they'd take advantage of the fact she was a young woman on her own. But so the water bottle and garbage bag were found around 300 meters from the mobile phone, and the group then paused their search while forensic testing of the items was conducted. But some volunteers did not stop looking. Jared Boys, four from the left, pictured with others during the ongoing search efforts for missing tourist Celine Kremer. And then on the Wednesday, search team member Jared Boys stumbled across human remains about 2.5 hours into another day of searching. Seems strange that the police didn't find these things, isn't it? The body parts were found around 3 kilometres northeast of the Philosopher Falls car park alongside the Arthur River. The bones that I saw were just lying on top of a pile of soil and stones. And he told the ABC he quickly notified police officers who confirmed with a pathologist that the remains were human. And police officers have notified Miss Kremer's family of the discovery. We understand how distressing this development may be for her loved ones, said Inspector Andrew Hansen in a statement on Wednesday. While everyone involved hopes it will help to provide answers, formal forensic analysis is required before we can determine whether the remains belong to Celine. But so we have to remember it isn't 100% certain yet. But to find her phone there as well. Anyway, so the phone will be a big thing, so the police will be able to hopefully get some more information. Upon news of the discovery, Rob Parsons says his thoughts are first and foremost with Celine's family and loved ones. I can only imagine how difficult this update will be for them. Tasmania Police will hold a press conference on Thursday afternoon. So, where are we now? So it's Thursday in Spain. So I'll have a look in a minute. I don't know if they've already done that press conference or not. But in the meantime, the anxious wait for Miss Kremer's family continues. And in a post to social media, Celine's mother, Ariane, wrote, "We've been contacted tonight by Tasmanian police to inform us of the discovery of human bones along the river. Various tests still have to be carried out to confirm this is Celine, with answers in 3 weeks maximum. And whatever these answers are, we thank all the people who invested in supporting us and allowing us to try and find Celine." Oh, bless. Okay, let me put that window down. I'm going to just put a couple of windows down. So it's likely to take a couple of weeks to get definitive answers. But as I say, I think for the police to sort of, more or less come out and say, there is there, isn't it? So I don't know. Right, where's that other video? I've got a video of somebody actually walking the walk. Let me just find it. Is this it? Okay, sorry, taking a minute with my slow computer. Oh, that's my video. Oh, it's so slow, it's driving me absolutely. Right, that's that. Where's this? Where's this video of the walk? I find it. Sorry. Thanks for your patience. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Where is it gone? Sorry. God. Well, you have to go through an advert first. Let's try this video. Finally, I think I'm on something at least. Let's see, just make sure it's sharing. Okay, so it is sharing. So let's just watch this news item.
It may be weeks before police in Tasmania are able to confirm whether human remains found in the state's rugged northwest are those of missing Belgian tourist Celine Kremer. A volunteer searcher found the remains yesterday at Philosopher Falls, where Ms. Kremer went missing in 2023. Reporter Scout Wallen joins us now from Hobart. Hi there, Scouts. What is the latest from police?
Well, Ros, the latest from police is that they're continuing to investigate these remains that, as you said, was found at Philosopher Falls yesterday. Now, those remains were found by a volunteer searcher who is part of a large independent search group looking for Miss Kremer. Now, Miss Kremer went missing in June 2023. She was doing a short walk at Philosopher Falls in the northwest of the state and hasn't.
Oh, it keeps clicking off. It's buffering. It's buffering. That's.
been heard from since. Now, police updated the community ashore. They said that
the internet on this computer, so I'm going to give up on that because it just keeps buffering. When I get a better computer, maybe I'll try and do I wanted to do the walk. Let's just try one more time. Maybe we can find yeah, I found like an article that had a reporter doing the actual walk along that she would have done, and of course it's disappeared now, which is very irritating. Oh, here, maybe this one, maybe this one. Yeah. One. So I just want to show you the walk that she was on because, it wasn't the most difficult walk. She wasn't on one of those ones where you think, oh God, why would anybody go there? It was, it's quite a sedate, as far as these sort of walks go. There you go. This should take us along the walk where Celine went. Hi, Moody.
I'm here with Dad today on the northwest of Tasmania, and behind me here is the Wandle Falls, just off the Murchison Highway, if you know where to look. Today we're off to Waratah. We're on a bit of a dual mission to see Philosopher Falls, and it's also fungi season here in Tasmania, which runs from about March to June, and the northern parts of
Fungi season. Oh my God. I hope there's no death cap mushrooms there. Bloody Erin Patterson will be there.
the state where we're from, it's been a bit dry. There just hasn't been any about. And so we've come inland a bit today, hopefully to a wetter part of the state. And we've already found a bit about, mostly just white and brown ones, but we're after colour.
So as I say, look at them, those lovely blue mushrooms. Oh my God. I just want to show you that it's not thought of as a difficult trek. I mean, no offense to these people, but they're not exactly, the young people. It's supposedly an easy walk to make. And as long as look at these mushrooms. Sorry, we're just going off on a tangent here. I wonder if they'll find any death cap ones. Well, you can see, for example, from that you can see it's it's a normal walk. It's not a difficult one. But you've got to stick. Did she go off the trail? So there's a limited amount of things that could have happened to Celine. Either she went off the trail and she got completely lost, or she bumped into somebody, and foul play occurred, or she had an accident. Maybe because it was so long before she was reported missing, she might have been sort of moved by animals by then. So, this will be, first of all, of course, it's got to be proven forensically that it is her. God, look at these mushrooms. It's got to be proven forensically that it is her first, and then very difficult with scattered remains. From 2.5 years ago, they're going to have to try and establish a cause of death. It might be impossible, to be fair. God, I'm fast. I can't get over the colours of these mushrooms. Goodness. I haven't seen any death cat ones yet. I wouldn't eat any of these mushrooms. I don't know. I don't think they're there to eat them. I think they're there to just photograph them. But I think this gives you an idea of the trail. It's not different. Even I could do that trail. And then you come down to where the actual waterfalls are, the water is. Even I could do that. So I don't think it's a difficult trail to make. And apparently it's a trail that's commonly used by visitors, families, etc. So I think that makes it all even more suspicious, isn't it? When people disappear. Oh, I wouldn't like them stairs. Don't like stairs. I don't mind going down actually. Going up, I don't like going downstairs. I get dizzy. But yeah, and there you can see the waterfalls. That's what she was there to see, wasn't it? But yeah, it feels even more suspicious knowing that it's a commonly used trail. It's not like in the middle of nowhere in the sense of nobody ever goes there. Yeah, makes you wonder if there was foul play. And I think more that rather than the actual body, because they found remains. At the end of the day, what they found are remains, not exactly a body, is it? If the phone's going to give more information, isn't it, than the actual remains? Because the remains have been there for 2.5 years, probably scattered by animals. So it'd be very difficult to establish cause of death. There won't be DNA and things like that. So, from a perpetrator, if there had been some foul play, so the more information they're going to get, of course, is from the phone, data information, I suppose. Yeah. No, I haven't seen the interview with the lad who found her. Let's have a look. So traumatic for them. I think it'll feel traumatic, but also brilliant, because they'll be happy that they've found her, of course. But it's like a happiness tinged with sadness, because to find a body or remains. So this is Jared, isn't it? Rob's interview. Let's have a look at that. See if I can get that up. It's on Facebook. Rob's interview with Jared, the man who found Celine. Let's see. If I get it up, I'll share it and we'll have a little watch of that. So I hope he won't mind, because this is on YouTube. So the YouTuber. Oh, press the wrong button. Oh, I seem to be, when I'm trying to click on the YouTube video, it's going through to the Australian missing persons thing. Oh, I'll have to look for it. I know I can't, this computer is just rubbish at finding things quickly. What if I go straight onto the YouTube? Yeah, go straight onto the YouTube because that was through Facebook and it kept sending me somewhere else. So slow, sorry. I mean, it's always got to be, it's always a good thing, isn't it, when, there's the interview. How long is it? It's always got to be a good thing when people are found, even though, it's obviously not the result that people wanted. Let me just go to the interview. Oh, I'm just going to fast forward it a bit because yeah, now this is he's going to mention now, isn't it? I haven't seen this before, so I'm not prepared for it. But like we were saying, or I was saying, how could they not have found the phone before? But he's going to say, I think by the sound of it, he could be literally stood next to it and you wouldn't see it. So let's just go, yeah, try that. Oh, not there. Hang on.
Like you said, you've really got to go out there. You can't underestimate Tassie's fluidness. And, that horizontal scrub in Luena is just, it's one of the worst places to go missing. It is so hard to traverse through that brush. And, you could be standing 2 meters from that phone and not even see it on the ground there. It was only due to the hard work of so many volunteers that we were able to get the results that we have.
Yeah, definitely. And how did you find the December search? Obviously your ongoings were a lot different to mine. We were a bit more rogue, a smaller crew as well. How did you find, your big party with Ken and Paul?
Oh, look, I was really impressed. Paul, Ken, and Alan are terrific guys. They did an awesome job at coordinating that.
Yeah.
And as for the volunteers, I've worked in a lot of teams in a lot of different industries over the last few years, and never have I seen such impressive teamwork.
Yeah.
it was amazing. Everyone got along with everyone, which that in itself is rare enough. But we just worked together so well. Even after the initial search, coordinating small groups over the last few weeks has been just a breeze. And it's really been an honour to work alongside everyone there.
Yeah, I've witnessed that, and I was amazed right from the beginning. And like you said, the effort that was afterwards, even from, the guys like Alex and Levi, who are just like on the mainland now, but they're just not letting it go, and they're like, okay, we're going to plan another search in March and we're going to hit here. And it's just like, damn, there's so much momentum that it's inevitable that Celine is going to be found. It was a crazy effort. Absolutely insane. So I want to also ask you, yesterday, like, what was your game plan yesterday? You went in solo, right?
Yeah. So yesterday, the plan was, and I said this to some of the other members of the search team, is I wanted to check, and I thought that it was imperative that we check further downstream on the Arthur.
Yeah.
My theory was, she's come over the crest of the hill south where she's lost her phone. She's gone east to where your dad found the bottle and the poncho. And from the easiest way to travel is east. That gully right there is the path of least resistance. It's downhill. It's not very thick scrub. And it takes you to a part of the water race that, before they re-cleared the track a couple of years ago, was almost unrecognisable. I thought that it was very likely she'd crossed the water race without noticing, gotten to the river, and had no idea whether it's the same river that the falls are on, not knowing which direction she's facing or where she is in relation to the car park or any other landmark in the area. All she knows is that there's a large flowing body of water here, and I don't know anything else. And personally, if I were in her shoes in a predicament like that, I would think to head downstream, because no matter where you are, most places in the world, including Tassie, if you have a good water source like that, if you head downstream, you're more than likely to either find a road, a town, or if you find none of those, you'll find a coastline eventually. And so I think she did the right thing by going downstream. It also aligns with the approximately size 7 shoe prints that Ted Mead found a couple of years ago. And I thought that I would check further downstream, because I think that it was very likely that she tried to follow the Arthur River as far as she could, and maybe had a slip along the bank, or maybe fell into the fast-flowing water. And so I went down there at a good pace, and about 2.5 hours in was when I came across the remains.
Crazy. So you came in off the water race and just followed the river down with the intention to go all the way to the magnet tram line and back, or?
That's correct. So the plan was to, I didn't know what the terrain was like there, or I didn't have waders or anything, so I had to hop along rocks and things. So the plan was ideally to get as close as I could to the river crossing for the magnet tramway track, and then head back and just check the river, all the log jams, check the immediate banks on each side, and just see if I can find any trace of her. And that was.
So it just shows you, doesn't it? So because with all his knowledge and that thinking of what would I do, God, that'd be my worst nightmare, to be lost in there. Oh God, I'd be terrified of being lost. And as soon as night was coming, you just would be really scared. And I'm sure, but how did she lose her phone? So, because the thing is, if you had of course, you might not have a signal in there anyway. Your phone might be pretty bloody useless, to be honest. But this is where it comes back to what I was saying earlier. If this is the sort of thing you like doing, or some of your loved ones like doing, going to even well-known tracks like she did, this isn't an obscure track, but for some reason, if she's gone off the gone off the official path and got lost. Maybe to take a photo, you know, a different kind of photo. You know, people do, and then suddenly you think, oh, hang on a minute, everything all looks the same, and she couldn't get back on the right track, if that's what happened. Now, it may be that she did see somebody suspicious, and that's why she came off the track. You know, we just don't know, do we? I mean, it just makes you think, if at least she'd had some arrangement with her parents to contact them every single day, say at 8 o'clock in the evening, just to contact them and to say that she was okay back at the hotel or whatever. And if I don't, then, you know, there's some things happened to me. It just would have meant it wouldn't have taken 10 days before she was even looked for. I mean, I think that's part of the problem here. Not being reported missing for 10 days. A lot can happen in 10 days. It can rain, it washes away footprints, and, you know, I don't know, somebody who's a bush expert would be able to track where somebody had gone. Like him, he did it with instinct. He was thinking, oh, well, I think, you know, it makes sense, she will have gone down to the river, and he followed the way he would have gone. And he was on his own. I mean, something could have happened to him. Oh, my God. Bloody hell. You know, when you think about it. But, you know, yeah, he followed his instinct and he found these remains which are likely to be her. But it's important to remember they're not proven to be her yet. It's going to take another few weeks to do that. But the other searchers found her phone and that bottle of water and that plastic bag. I mean, what was that? Was that somebody else sheltering, or did she try and shelter when she was lost? So, you know, it's still a mystery, although hopefully the main mystery has been solved, where this girl is, at least. There's still, you know, a lot of investigations to find out what happened to her. Why did she not make it safely back to wherever she was staying? You know, whether the sad thing is that the full answers, of course, may never ever be known, as to actually why she went off the beaten path, or may not be known. But anyway, for her family, if this is proven to be her, at least she can be brought home, given a dignified burial, and they get some resolution, don't they, to what happened to poor Celine after 2.5 years. 2.5 years of torment for this family, and it's not going to be solved instantly, I know that, but at least they know where she is, so I think that's important. But anyway, listen, thank you for watching, thank you for caring about Celine. I'll keep you updated with any news, if it's you know, when it's confirmed that it is her, and if any news comes out about what might possibly have happened to this poor girl, I'll let you know. But thank you for watching. Don't forget, members live tonight. Please think about joining. If you're not a member, please think about subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Press like on the video. These are all free ways that you can help support my channel if you enjoy watching it. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And as always, may your God go with you. Thank you. Bye.